Hi, this is Stacy Hernandez with the Best You College Admissions Consulting, the best college for the best you. Today we're talking with Dr. Terry Mena, and he is the Associate Vice President of Student Engagement and Dean of Students at Lamar University, and a dear friend. And thank you for being with me today, so I can ask you lots of
That's
questions.
great. Well, thank you, Stacey. I'm really excited to be here with you today. Yes, I work at Lamar University, but I am sporting my alma mater, Florida Atlantic University, in my shirt today.
Wait a minute, alma mater?
Yeah,
And you have a
that's
couple
where I got
of
my doctorate. I got my doctorate
okay.
at Florida Atlantic University.
All right. Well, Terry and I know each other from Northeastern University, another alma mater as well.
That's right. Go Huskies. Go Huskies. For
And
sure.
you have a couple, well, you have at least another school too. You got a master's
Yes.
somewhere
Yes.
too.
Pride and Joy too, University of Columbia Teachers College. That's also my alma mater as well.
And just a side note, actually, Terry single-handedly was the person who got me into the world of college admissions. I knew nothing about that career. I knew nothing about it. And he told me about a job at our alma mater. And that's how I got into admissions. So thank you for my 20-year career here. It wouldn't have happened without you. It wouldn't have happened.
That's great. You just brought me back. Yeah, I remember it now. I remember the conversation and you know how your pathway has kind of led you to where you're at today. And it's just incredible work that you're doing.
Yeah, well, thank you, and your work too. So the reason why I am interviewing Terry today is that I get a lot of questions from families about that transition to college. And I feel that a lot of my work, it kind of ends once they're into a college and once they deposit out of school. But a lot of my families are like not sure of what's next. And so I really want them to know the real deal about, and a lot of parents hear this and a lot of students hear this. So I'm going to dive into a couple questions and helping you to prepare more for that transition and what it's like when you get to college. So tell us, like, what are some of the issues that college students are facing today? Like, what are the things that they need to be thinking about?
Right. So, I think, some of the things I do when I speak with parents during our new student orientation sessions and leading up from the summer into the fall is one thing that I think parents may hear through the process is that, your son and daughter is now transitioning into college. Universities and colleges are going to look at them as adults. Well, number one, they're not adults yet. They're young adults. In fact, research tells us that their brain is still developing, and it will develop all the way to the age of 24.
Wow.
So they're still thinking, they're still trying to process who they are, their personalities, their cognitive development, their psychosocial development, their personal interactions and ability to communicate with others. All these skills are being developed. And this entryway into college is something that will propel them to get to that place where they want to be in life, right? So the first thing you have to recognize is that they are in a major transition. And I hate to say this, it's very much similar to when they went from middle school to high school. And all of the scary things that they're going through, right? And you're going through it too. The parents are going through it equally.
Yeah, and I have one coming up going into high school, so I don't even want to think about it.
Right? It's amazing. So I think that's the first thing is to recognize that, right? To recognize that your son and daughter is going through that transition, and you're going through that transition with them. And I even say this, the most veteran parents, right? I have, when I do my session, I ask the question, parents, how many of you have, this is your first son and daughter? How many, is this your second, third, fourth, fifth? And, I see around the room, the veterans, right? The veteran parents who've had 5, 6, I kid you not, yes, I've had parents who had 5 or 6 go to college. And I ask them questions like, what did you learn through all the process? And here are the things I've come to learn is that, and I know parents know this, each son and daughter is different. They are developmentally in a different place than even their brother and sister was when they went into college. Some of them may feel more prepared. Some of them may feel underprepared. So you got to treat them where they're at. You have to treat them individually where they're at. And then I think another advice I give parents is get involved in the parent association, early as possible, interact with that parent association, get to know the other parents, because especially those parents who are bringing their son and daughter to college for the first time, it is such a tremendous support group because everyone is going through the same experience. And some of the things I think they're going to hear about is, we know for sure the first 3 to 4 to 6 weeks of the semester is the most critical stage in their transition. If you can help them get to that first 6 weeks, and that's why schools intentionally have the parents' weekend 6 weeks from the start of the semester, because that is the peak. That is that ridge when you get past the hurdle or hurdles of the trials and tribulations of making it through that first semester. And if they're able to get through that first 6 weeks, they're in a high percentage of succeeding the rest of the year, and they're a higher percentage of completing the whole academic year.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's some tidbits I give parents, and we do that intentionally. So we prep them up for Parents Weekend. So when they come back for Parents Weekend, I'm then checking in with them to see how they're doing, the parents, as well as the students. How's your son and daughter doing? How they're transitioning? Have they had any issues? And so I think some of the other things that in this day and age, and just where we're at as a society, mental health illness is not a growing issue. It is a constant conversation in higher education. It is considered in all of my peers and my colleagues across the country who are vice presidents for student affairs and dean of students. The number one survey response on a question asked them is, what is the number one issue facing college students in the future? Is mental health illnesses or mental health balancing and management. There's a high percentage of our students who are coming in with different levels of challenges. Some of them are coming in with medications and regimen of medications, and so we just have to, we're all working collectively for their success. So that is the number one issue that is impacting college campuses, and in turn, we as administrators and faculty and staff, we have to provide the necessary support mechanism and resources on our campuses to be a little bit more holistic. When you and I were in college, the school only really cared about what was going on up here and what we were learning. And they really didn't care about, hey, by the way, there is a mental health center on campus. If you're having the level of anxieties that I'm seeing in class with you, you may want to consider going and seeing a psychiatrist or psychologist. That just wasn't an open conversation when we were in college. Yeah. Today, it's pretty prevalent. I have students who literally introduce themselves, and then they tell me about all the medications that they're on.
Wow.
And it's very fluid. It's like a fluid, open conversation. And it's just the day and age that we're in, that they're very open about it. And not just they're open to us immediately, they're open in social media. They share their mental health struggles online and with their peers. And, part of that is healthy. I think it is good. It's kind of like that video blogging, or, the therapy method of writing in your journal.
Oh yeah.
That's the equivalency of that.
Wow.
I think that's healthy, but I also think it could, it has some positive aspects and also has its challenges, right? Because then people know too much about your personal life. So there's an equal balance in all that. I think the other thing that I think all college parents are definitely going to be continuing to struggle with is the cost of education, right? The cost of maintaining the tuition and the housing fees if your son and daughter lives on campus, and where we're at right now, especially now with pandemic COVID-19, and what will happen after this, right? And what does that mean from the grand scheme of it all? So I think financing is going to be it is a big conversation now. How do we help these young people graduate with less debt? Yes. Right? And regardless of what kind of institution you go to, if it's a private, elite, all the way down to an open access institution and it's 2-year community college, from that whole spectrum of higher education, I think those are some issues that are continuing to challenge parents and their students, is the affordability of college and maintaining that. And if there's any advice, not any advice, I always tell parents the advice of this: you gotta encourage your son and daughter. You always have to continue to encourage them. And remember, you're a partner with them in this, and you can't take the lead. You got to allow them to take the lead and make some calculated mistakes, but you want to get them to that graduation stage. We welcome them during orientation, and then we tell them, we want you to walk across the stage within 4 to 5 years. We're committed to working with the parents and you to do this, right? And it's very important. Why? Because the earliest you graduate, the less debt you walk away from, right? So those are the kind of challenges and issues, I think, at least my top three to four,
those are huge.
that I think are important for parents to be aware of.
Those are huge, huge, huge. I mean, and it's interesting because some of that hasn't changed. When there were days where we had one meal a day during college, I mean, there were some of those, some of those haven't changed, but it definitely feels like there's just so much more awareness, and there's so many more conversations having on campus about cost and all of these things, the mental health pieces and the support services. Tell us, what are the type of support services available on campus, and how do students find out about these? And, I know parents can find out and know them, and then they can tell their kid, but the kid may not listen, Yeah.
Well, you're right. It's asking those questions, being upfront. And I get a lot of parents who are upfront with me and tell me straight out, my son is on the spectrum, he has autism or she has autism. And those kind of conversations, some of them come with, they tell me they have learning disabilities. A lot of these disabilities that you can't physically see, right? So I think that's, educating and asking the questions. What kind of students with disability support services do you have on campus? How do I begin to learn and sign up about those processes as early as possible? Learning about the counseling center or the student health center. Learning about those resources. Do they have online services, right? So a lot of universities are moving into telemedicine and providing counseling, not just in-person counseling, but also through technology like this, using Zoom and using your phone to have a session with your counselor. And, there's some pros and cons. I mean, I guess, as you can see from all my comments so far, everything has a pro and con. Yeah. But I think it's an extra value. Again, going back to what we're all experiencing right now with this COVID-19, I mean, telemedicine, for sure, it has seen an uptick to almost 100% utilization now. Amazing. And you have now universities and colleges who are very skeptical about that delivery of support. It's now saying, no, we're 100% bought in. We need it. We need to share it. We need to get more resources of this kind. So there's going to be a lot of research and a lot of data that's going to come out from all of this to better inform us in supporting young people moving forward. So I think those are the things you need to do as a parent, is to ask questions. Don't be afraid. Think about all the questions you want. And I always tell parents, during orientation and the welcome, think of all the questions. After you leave the session, just take a few moments, get a piece of paper and write down all the questions that you want to try to get answered with your son and daughter, hopefully asking those questions, but you there supporting them. So, and then again, on the car ride home, if you walk away, because for me, I'm a reflective thinker, so I don't realize the questions that I need to ask at that moment, I'll go back and say, can you give me a phone number of someone I can call afterwards, or email, or someone I can reach out to upon, getting back home? Because believe me, on the car ride home or the flight home or whatever the case may be for you and your family, those questions come up. They come up. Oh gosh, I wish I'd asked this question to Dr. Mena. Oh, look, he gave me his phone number. Let me call him. And yes, I give parents my phone number.
Awesome. That's amazing, because it does make parents feel better. And there are some no-nos that parents do need to learn, right?
Oh, yes.
Do you want to mention any of the no-nos?
I figured you're going to cue me up for that. That's a good.
I didn't add that to my questions, but that's a good one for them to start.
Right. So there is a known phenomenon called helicopter parents. And now there's even this new term called bulldozer parents.
Or snowplow. Yeah, bulldozer, snowplow. Yeah.
Right? Depending on what region of the country you're in, you have a different descriptor of the parent.
Very true.
Actually, here in Southeast Texas, I hate to say it, someone actually used the word hurricane parent.
Oof.
That was an intriguing descriptor, and I was like, wow, that's intense.
Oof.
So yes, you listen. I must say for the record, I'm a little bit different than my peers.
Yeah.
I embrace helicopter parents. I want helicopter parents. I want them to be involved and engaged as much as they can.
Mhm.
On the same accord, you don't want to be a bad helicopter parent. And so I ask these questions to the parents, by showing hands, how many parents do you wash your son and daughter's clothes? So a number of them raise their hands. Okay, well, how many do you wash their clothes and then also cook for them? Raise their hands. And then how do you wash their clothes, cook for them, and then still serve the food for them and then put their clothes away? And just a small minority, and said that there's the helicopter parents right there.
Wow.
And it's not, it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. You
Yeah.
just have to learn how to be a good helicopter parent.
Yes.
So, for example, don't call Dr. Mena or email him to ask him questions about how your son and daughter has done in their science
Yes.
class the first day,
Yes.
right? Call Dr. Mena 4 or 5 days into it and say, I have not heard from Johnny or Jane for a couple of nights now. And the last time we spoke, it was not a very pleasant conversation. They were very upset, besides themselves. They have not spoken to anybody. They're not getting along with their roommate. They're not finding the groups that they want, that they're interested in. You see, so there's a disconnect there.
Mhm.
Yeah, send me an email about that so I can get the RA, the resident assistant, to go and connect with Johnny or Jane and see what's going on, how they're transitioning. Those are the good reasons to call Dr. Mena. So don't call him to ask what grade Johnny and Jane got in their first exam in class. That's a bad helicopter parent. So I give those examples, and first, as it is every first 2-3 weeks, I get parents to call and say, I know Dr. Mena, you said I shouldn't call you, but here's what's going on. I just want to talk to you through it. And I walk them through it. And I said, look, this is what you need to tell your son and daughter. Roommate issues. Number one issue, the first night. First night is a roommate issue. So we talk about what that looks like and the level of relationship you should be having with your roommate the first night. And what that means, about setting up rules, setting up, what I like him, my roommate to be doing, or what I don't like my roommate to be doing, right? Talking all those kinds of nuances so that it's understood and verbally discussed before you get into this new relationship. Because if you're not honest with the other person about your likes and your dislikes, it's just going to spiral out of control.
Yeah. Oh yeah, been there. Thank you for that. That is super, super helpful. Just one more super quick question, and just like,
Sure.
what are things or ways that colleges are providing to first year students, like exposure to opportunities and services? How are they doing that?
Yeah, no, it's the day and age of being involved. It's an expectation, right? So we have this fancy word for it. It's called high practice involvement. It could be, getting involved in a student organization, getting involved and connecting to groups that relate to your personal interests. May that be, for example, like esports. Esports is blowing up across all college campuses around the world. And so, finding those connectedness with those type of interests is important. Getting involved as early as you can with the Career and Professional Development Center. I always tell every student right after orientation, your first step is to get to know us, but your second step is to sign up for Career and Professional Development Services. That's the second step. You got to start early, because every step you make, every decision from the moment you decided to go to that university college is to the end product of graduating and to getting a job in that industry or field that you aspire to join. So you should start from day one. So join the Career and Professional Development portal. Get involved on campus in other ways, become a resident assistant, get an on-campus job. The research also tells us the more involved on campus they are, the more successful they're going to be. And that's intentional. By being on campus, you're working 19 or 20 hours a week, and you're visibly around other common people who have common interests. Get involved in undergraduate research. Yeah, research. You want to do research. You want to peer up, or you want to be matched with a faculty member who have a similar interest in your research ideas in your field, in your industry, and do research. I do that. I have several undergraduate mentees that I mentor to do undergraduate research, and it's an incredible work that I wish I did as an undergrad, because I definitely would have done better in my master's degree and my PhD degree if I had that basic formula understanding of research. Study abroad. Oh my gosh. Number one, every student should sign up for study abroad, and sign up early. I actually have one student who's gone a study abroad every year in the 4 years he's been at Lamar University. Every year. And what's lovely about Lamar, not to, so I gotta put a plug in for Lamar. I gotta get it in there. Lamar, when you pay your tuition and fees, you pay a study abroad fee, and that's it. Now there's other fees for signing up for the course to go abroad, your ticket and all that other stuff, but you pay a reduced cost compared to if you were to do it at other schools where it's 100% of the cost. So this student's taking full advantage of it, and he's gone every year to a different place in 4 years. It's just incredible. So I would encourage that. Do some study abroad, undergraduate research, get involved on campus, meet your faculty, build a relationship with your faculty so that you are engaged. And then the last thing I think is, building what I call a network of advisors. That, Stacy is a great example of that. She was a former financial aid officer. She was also a missions person. And so when you get into your college, you have a team of people who are going to help you be successful. The first person, if you're a financial aid recipient, is your financial aid advisor. That's a most important person. Your second is your academic advisor, right? And then another one is your faculty advisor. And then your fourth could be someone like myself, who's an administrator. You can set up a mentorship relationship with an administrator or faculty or staff member. And that mentorship could be spanning all groups of individuals. We intentionally encourage mentorship. So we have our custodial staff, our cleaning staff, our gardening, landscaping staff, our secretaries. I mean, all the range of support staff who are mentoring students either informally or formally, right? Because some of my best mentors at Northeast University was the three women in the dining hall.
It's Spear Hall!
Who would always get me food when I needed food. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, me too.
So those are some important relationships that people don't realize, that it's not just the faculty member and it's not just the dean of students. It is those people who are day-to-day caring for the students and making sure that they have their basic needs as they navigate this very complex landscape for the next 4 to 5 years.
Thank you, Dr. Mena. This was awesome. I appreciate your time. Again, this is Stacy Hernandez with the Best You College Admissions Consulting, the best college for the best you. You can learn more about us at thebestyou.net, and this video will be up on the website soon. So thank you.
Great. Thank you, Stacy.